What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Winning in Life Without Losing Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Peed, and on this podcast, we discuss 5 different areas: creativity, culture, mental health, the Enneagram, and process are things that I've been picked up over the years and super passionate about. And those are the things that we are diving into each week on these episodes. And today is going to be a little bit of a mashup of several. We're going to mostly talk about creativity, but we're also going to talk a little bit about process. And I think ultimately you're going to hear how what we talk about today affects your mental health as we discuss the space in which you create in. We're all talking all about environment today, the space in which you set up shop in. And you say, today I'm going to get the things done. I'm going to create like a boss. It's going to happen for me today because I've surrounded myself in the right space. I cannot wait to share this episode with you. But before we get into that, I want to remind you to like and subscribe and ring the bell if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast anywhere, I would love for you to give a 5-star review, and just leave some great comments there for me. It really helps get the content out further and spread the reach as we continue to discuss further these 5 topics. If you're interested in consulting with me or coaching from me or any creative services that I can provide you, you can reach out to me on dustinpeed.com. You can book a time to talk with me there. Absolutely free. I'd love to be able to talk with you. Just click on all the Let's Talk buttons. You can also follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the main places, Facebook at Dustin Peed. Love for you to connect there. You can see all the blog posts and things like that. So I do release 3 pieces of regular content every week. Every Thursday, every Tuesday, I'm releasing a blog post on dustinpeed.com. And then every Thursday, I'm releasing one of ththese podcast episodes on YouTube and on audio platforms. And then on Sundays, I'm sending out kind of a weekly recap newsletter of like, here's the top 5 things from this week that I've curated for you. Some stuff is my content, some stuff is from somewhere from other places that I've picked up along the way. I always want to be sure to bring you the things that I'm spending time curating specifically for you in these 5 topics. And so if you're interested in signing up for the newsletter, you can do that at dustinp.com. Just click on the newsletter link and you can do that as well. If you want to pay for my Substack, which is the newsletter subscription, instead of using the free version, there is some bonus content that only comes to people that are paid subscribers. You get early access to different content that I'm releasing as well. And I'll send you product reviews as I'm developing different products and systems. Then I will send those to my paid Substack subscribers to just give me some first look, honest feedback on those things. So anyway, all that business aside, I cannot wait to talk to you today about the space in which you create in. And I'm going to try to add some footage throughout of this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, where you can kind of really see some of the spaces. You can tell behind me, I've got lots of pictures and images and posters and different quotes and things like that up on the wall. And we'll get into that here in just a second. But listen, most creative people believe in the power of spaces, and I'm no different. It's been scientifically proven that the space that you work in will determine a lot of the strength of your work and keep you focused, right? So why don't we put more effort into the space that we create in? I think it's oftentimes because we're too busy to really think about the space that we work in, and we're just constantly going, and we're wondering why the space that we leave the space and we just like, I'm so drained. Or you walk into the space the next day and you're dreading it because there's just something about the space just kind of drains my life, and this is where I feel overwhelmed, and you start to associate those things, right? But I believe that there are some ways and there's some reasons that the space that you create in matters. And I'm going to share with you 5 reasons today. I'm very confident there are a ton more reasons, but these are just the first 5 reasons that I came up with. And let's be honest, anything more than that is just too overwhelming on a one episode of a podcast. So let's dive right in. The first reason that a space matters, the creative space matters, that you need the space to create, is because of your energy. Because of the energy, it can be draining, extremely draining, physically and mentally, to sit in a blank, drab, dull space trying to create something unique. If you're like me, you don't like the overhead fluorescent bulb lights. Any office that I've ever had that had those, I would either remove the bulbs or I'd put tape over the light switch and I'd create other mood lighting. As you can see in here, just over my head, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have different lighting. I have some recessed lighting in here. I have an IKEA bulb light back there behind me. I have other Edison bulb lights around here because I like the warmth light. I also like the natural light, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But what brings you the most energy in a space? Is it lighting? Is it music? Is it coffee? Is it candles? Is it aroma? Is it oriental rugs? Is it leather couches? Whatever it is, whatever those are the types of things that bring you the energy that you need to create. So creative spaces matter, number one, because of the energy that it brings. Number two, the second reason that creative spaces matter is for motivation. Now, we've talked before about energy zones, and Carey Nieuwhof refers to those in his book At Your Best, and how there's a few hours a day where you're super green mentally and you're sharp and you can tackle those things, but then there's other times where you're not so motivated to tackle things. And so let's face it, some days and some times of the day it's much harder to muster up the courage to create. Your space should motivate you toward your creative goals. Things like vision boards with a clear picture of what done looks like. We talk all the time about paint done from Brene Brown. What does done look like is a great place to start. Just visually Google image those things, print them out, put them up on your wall. This is what I'm after. This is what done looks like for the project, for my career, for the creative space, for whatever the thing is that you want to stay motivated towards. Put that up there. Maybe you need words to motivate you. If you can see over my shoulder, there's an artist that I followed way back in the day. I'm totally blanking on his name right now, but he created these beautiful prints, and it actually says, "Let's make beautiful things. Let's make beautiful things together." And I love that phrase, and it motivates me to continue to make beautiful things and to create things out of God's beauty and his creation that he's placed inside of us. So write those things down, buy those posters, whatever you need to do. Put a sticky note on your laptop, buy one of those cheesy motivational posters that you see in doctor's office. Whatever it is that motivates you, put that in your space that you're creating in. That leads us to number three. The third reason why creative spaces matter and you need this right space to create is inspiration. It's not enough just to have the energy, it's not enough just to be motivated, but you actually also need to be inspired to do great work and to create great things. Listen, it's essential to stay fresh in our creativity. So, what inspires you the most to create your best work? It's very simple. Whatever inspires you, put that in the space. Is it reading a great article? Make sure you block out time for that. There are many great writers that spur us on and our creativity. Many that I super love, like Austin Kleon, Todd Henry, Anne Lamott, just to name a few. Maybe it's fashion. Maybe what you wear while you create matters a bunch. I know my wife and I were recently just talking, as we're both solopreneurs and we quote unquote go to work every day. It's important for us to dress for the day, even though we may not leave the space every single day. It's important for us to dress for the day. So to put shoes on it, to put jeans on it, to, wash and comb your hair, and those types of things make you feel more confident, and it can inspire you on to create better things. So whatever inspires you, surround yourself with that in your space to create amazing things. Now, before I get to the last two, I want to just take a quick break and remind you that I have a free resource for you up at dustinpeed.com. If you go there, it'll pop up in just a few seconds after you being on any page on my site. And it's this very simple process worksheet I have that I've built. It's worked for me for many years, and it's something that I wanted to share with you absolutely free, called a do versus do worksheet. And it is designed so that you can create with more margin in your life. And so many times we feel like we're up against the clock and we're up against the deadline. And before we know it, we've put off and we put off and we put off, and we underestimated different things and we overestimated other things. And before we know it, we're just completely overwhelmed by the DUE date, the due date. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip that on its head a little bit in this simple free PDF that I have for you. And we're going to look at DO dates, those types of due dates instead of DUE dates. It's a simple tool. I would love for you to take a look at it. Go to my website, click on the pop-up, fill out the information, download your free PDF, and then hit me up on any social media or on my comments on my website and just let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if it's working for you, if it's not working for you, how I can help. I would love to walk you through that so that you can create with more margin in your life. Now, back to our last two things, our last two reasons why creative spaces matter. Again, there's way more than five, but we're just going to keep it to five today. This is something that I'll probably do a future episode on because I believe in it so much. And it is observation. Observation matters. Listen, here's what I mean by observation. If possible, you need to have a space to be observant in. Maybe it's a digital space or a physical space. A window in an office, for example, provides more than just the vitamin D that natural light offers. It also gives us a chance to stare out and observe a bit of nature or humanity that's going on around us as we plug away. And listen, if this isn't possible for you, I had many offices where I never had a window. And then my only thing I could stare out of was my office door into the hallway where other people were walking by and distracting me from what I was doing. But if it's not possible for you to have a window, take a 5 minute walk break outside. Or take a 5 minute, if it's raining outside, take a 5 minute walk break in a space with lots of windows and just see what that can do for your creativity. A fresh perspective goes a long, long way in what you create and the excellence that it brings. So, observation matters. Give yourself a space to be able to be observant as much as possible. And like I said, if you can't, get out of it and get to the closest place possible where you can be. The last thing that I think we need in order for us to have great spaces, and why spaces matter so much, is humanity. Humanity. We all know, whether we're stubborn or not, we all know that we need people. We need people. And maybe today for you, you just need to say that out loud and admit it. As much as you don't want to admit it, as much as you can be like, no, 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 I can get things done on my own. Yes, that's true to a certain extent, but eventually it's all going to come back to we need people. And they can aggravate us. Let's be honest. People can aggravate us more often than not, but they can equally spur us on to greatness just by them being around us. And those are the people that you want to find. You want to find the people that make you feel like you could run through a brick wall. You want to stick around with them while you create. You also want to invite them in. We can always create better in groups rather than silos, a fresh perspective, right? Even if it's just for editing or quick feedback and then back to your kind of solo work thing. But we need people. And so the people that you surround yourself with will encourage you or discourage you in the things that you're creating. So surround yourself with the right people. So I want to ask you, as we close this up, what's one thing that you can add to your space this week to make it work for you, to make it more creative, to make it a space that you desire to be in, to make it a space that motivates, inspires you, that surrounds you with observation and humanity? What are those spaces? Now, listen, before we end this too, I just want to do a little small little asterisk here that I know that many of you are mobile, or you don't have like a defined space that you can make your own. Can I just tell you, there's these great things that have existed in our world for a few years now, uh, called coffee shops and cafes. Right? You can get to the closest town or city and just search and trial and error until you find the spot. You'll know it when you see it. Here, where I'm at in West Georgia, in between Atlanta and Alabama, we just had an amazing new coffee shop pop up here called Buzzards Coffee. Buzzards is amazing, and it hits all these boxes for me because it's surrounded with great people. A barista there, Taylor, and I have recently been talking about work and faith and all these different things, and it's so amazing. It's so nice people. He's a creative person as well. He just by being near him spurs me on to create better things. They have incredible imagery and posters and artwork around that I can observe and be inspired by during the day. I'm motivated because I see other people in there as well with their projects and their meetings, and they're going after it and they're getting things done, all those things that I love. And it's just such a vibe, right? As we say these days, there's such a vibe in there, because their playlist is absolutely incredible, not to mention the coffee is top notch. So that's the place that I've found that's closest to me right now. Luckily for me, it's only about 20 minutes away. Maybe you have to drive 30, 45 minutes. Trust me, it is worth it. It is worth it to invest in the space that you create in, because you will notice a difference in the products and the problems that you're solving, and that you're creating day in and day out. I can promise you that. So find one thing that you can do to enhance the space that you create in today, or go out and find that space for you today. Maybe I'll shoot a reel or something like that coming up on my social media this week of a little bit closer of some of the things that I have behind me. But until then, I'm so glad that you were able to join me today on the episode. Again, check out DustinPeed.com, at DustinPeed on social media. And I would love to connect with you. If there's any way that I can help you, spur you on, help you find your right creative space, help you define your creative space, any of those things at all, feel free to reach out to me. Cannot wait to be back with you next week on the Winning in Life Without Losing Your Mind podcast.